It's a warm welcome back to On Cue Billies in La Mesa for this Mothlike TV presentation. It's a 10-ball challenge match between myself, Mike Holt, and Ken Lautner. Race to 7, BCA Pool League, rules apply. Ken's won the leg and he's breaking off here in this first rack.
Years ago we had a nice place in
Come up dry.
San Diego.
And this is our second meeting in as many weeks. Last time we played 3 sets. Race to 7 10 ball, race to 7 9 ball, and the same at 8 ball. Ken won both the first 2 sets. I managed to pinch the 8 ball on the final rack. I was trying to cut that in there, missed it on the way down, caught it off the rail, so left him an opener into the left side pocket. Yeah, Ken's Fargo is 583, about almost 30 points higher than myself. I'm on 556 right now. As he makes the 1, leaves himself the 2 in the bottom right, and just put a little bit of stun on the cue ball. Have a sliding cue ball that hits the 2. And the cue ball should then stun across to the right side of the table, above the 8. If you could get above the pocket line on the 3, that might make shape with a 4 a bit easier. You wouldn't have to go behind the 5 then. So yeah, you can come off this long rail on the left and approach the 4 on the potting line. That would be the best way to play this. That sort of line that you just indicate with his cue. And that way, if you overhit or underhit by even a few feet, you're still going to have a shot all the way through, rather than playing a shot where your cue ball is coming across the line of the next shot. But I think he wanted to get the cue ball a bit further moving there. He's now going to have a real difficulty if he wants to try and make this 4 and get back up the table for the 5. I think really wanted to stun off that long rail and get back out into the middle of the table. Could play this with bottom and left-hand English if you wanted to attack. You'd have to pocket it in the bottom right there and get the cue ball to just miss the 7, go between the 7 and the 6, and then back up towards the 5. But he chose to play a defense. He was trying to stun the cue ball dead and drive the 4 around the table to snooker me behind the 7-8. But with that collision on the 10, his plans are scuppered. And I've got a chance here. I could potentially cut this in, play with a lot of right-hand English. A bit difficult, the cue ball's so close to the rail, so I'm playing the bank in the bottom right. And with that is, it looks to me to be a little bit flat for that, and so you'd have difficulty getting the cue ball up for the 5. Yeah, I cut that a little too much. Saw the 4, at least a diamond or maybe a bit more before the pocket. It seems to be it was just steering the cue ball up the table. So the 10 blocks the path into the bottom right. You can cut this back into the bottom left.
You did a really good job. I noticed something immediately.
Get a little bit of backspin on the cue ball. You should take the cue ball over to that right-hand long rail, just below the 6, and then that'll check out and come straight across the table. So you should have a shot on the 5 in the top right after this if he makes it. And that's a beautiful strike, really nicely controlled. So drop this in with a trace of right-hand English. He's just indicating where he wants the cue ball there. So you could just play with playing top, but I think a tiny trace of right helps. You've got to be rolling towards the 8 ball. Here he is, he's going to kiss it. And now you just have to avoid that 8 ball in playing for the 7. So you've got options. But the gap between the 8-10 looks like the one he should play for. But he's put a lot more juice onto that, and he's played a beautiful stroke there. Now got the 7 in the side. It would have been ideal if he'd have rolled on a little bit further, so he had a straight 7. Now he's cutting this in a little, and the cue ball's travelling away from the 8 somewhat. So you probably want to just play off the 1 rail and maybe get the 8 in the top right. But he's dressing below center. What's he doing here? He played quite an ambitious shot, trying to come around off 3 rails there. And at that pace, you've got to be really accurate cutting him into the middle pocket from such an oblique angle. And as it happened, the pocket rejected the 7. It was just going into too pacey. Maybe not 100% in the heart of the pocket. Although he did great shape on the 8, but it's no good if you miss the object ball. So I can cut this in. Top left. Probably play with a bit of backspin and some right-hand English to try and get the cue ball to hit that long rail just above the left side pocket, and then the English to kill the pace of the cue ball, but a bit tricky. Hit that too thick and way too hard as well, if you see where the cue ball ended up. And I think I presented Ken with a chance to finish these off now. Just got to watch out for that point in the middle pocket. You could just try and float it in and follow forward, but he seems to be addressing the cue ball around about the center, so maybe just try to pop off the point. Look at that. What a great shot that is. Nicely on the 8 here. Just play a little stun. Get the cue ball a few inches back towards the long rail. Don't want the 9 to be too flat though. And then just push this one in, get the cue ball out somewhat into the middle of the table. If you can get a foot or so out, you should have an easy enough 10 ball. And that would then complete the first rack and give a 1-0 lead. We're playing winner breaks here in this race to 7. And just a nice smooth stroke here. Put paid to the first game. Well played, Ken. See what sort of a break he's got up his sleeve. Anything gonna fall? No, looks like another dry. Now there's no easy attacking option here. I think the cut does go just past the 2 in the top left, but it's extremely thin. The cue ball will be running wild. I'm looking at playing some sort of a shot to bank the 1 between the 2-8 and come down the left side of the table. Try and get the cue ball off that right-hand long rail in behind the 8. One danger with that is, though, you're banking the 1 down toward this pocket with the 3-10, so ideally you want to steer clear of them, get it to finish short, but I think that's a bit hard. 1 collides with the 3 and stays over the pocket, and unfortunately the cue ball didn't find its way behind the 8. I just caught the point, that pocket on the shorter left top short rail, so the cue ball didn't bounce on behind the 8, which it would have done. I'd missed the point there. So Ken's looking at this. He's coming around for a closer look. I think he might be thinking about a 10 ball here. Yeah, he's called the 10 in this bottom right corner. You can see that the tangent line, after pocketing that 1, will fire the cue ball into the 10. If he catches it right, could be 2-0. Oof, look at that for a shot. What a cracker. Really excellent combination there. Or carom, I should say. So that gives Ken the 2-0 lead. Another dry break, however. So I've got an option here to play the 1 in the top right. Need to try and follow forward. Miss the 3 with the cue ball. Maybe come into the 8-2 off the long rail. Oh no, I was just trying to play a hook there behind the 3, but I caught the 1 far too full. Yeah, he's called a combo here. 6 ball. Yes, he could only hit that right hand edge of the 1. Awkward shot though with queuing over the 2. Just play this at pocket speed. The 1 stays there. Well, he caught it much too thick in the end. I think this one will pass the 6. Just about. Maybe not got the whole pocket, maybe just the left side of the pocket. And then I'd want to try and come over, and I could just play a safe after this. If I finish right on the 2, it should be an easy hook. I did graze the 6 going past. I think my idea was either I could just play a stun shot or maybe just push the 2 forward and glue cue ball to the 8. Yeah, I think I've left him the 1 rail kick here. Yeah, I don't think he can play to attack. Yeah, he's just got to really play and hit that 2. Danger being if he hits it on the bottom side, he'll slide in the middle pocket. Yeah, I caught the 3 and still slid in the middle pocket. This is looking like a nice chance here. And I could play another snooker, but I'm quite liking the look of these balls. Easy enough to play this a bit of left with a 3, and then should just be able to play out with the 4 in the same pocket. A bit of follow and right. And now, if I play this with a little bit of follow and a trace of right, I should be bouncing off the short rail and rolling down table towards the 5. Once again, I'm trying to approach it on the potting line. I didn't quite get the right hand English on, but that's no problem. This is a great angle, natural to just stunt back to the middle of the table and have a similar shot on the green 6 in the top left. Not too straight, please. Yeah, that's one of my weaknesses. I tend to, when playing shape, start at the grounding to always leave a steep angle. I tend to get a bit too flat. And that's a poor shot there, not accurate enough. Rattled it in the jaws. Wasn't really a very good strike. If you look where the cue ball finished as well, would have had a very tricky 7. And if I'd got a nice stroke on that, like I played the 5, cue ball would have been out in the middle of the table with a straightforward finish really of 7, 8, 9, 10. But here it is for Ken. This could make it 3-0. He punishes my mistake. He's also rattled it. We're both struggling a little bit here. Missing relatively easy pots. Good. That was a little better strike. We'll just overrun the shape a little. Can still make this, but you've got to choose your line and put a nice delivery on it. I seem to be playing with a bit of bottom. I'm playing. Oh, thought I was playing above the 8 there, but I obviously had a lot of check side on it, a lot of inside. So another nice smooth stroke here. Get out in the middle of the table for that 9, and it should be all over. That's better. Nice and smooth. Just try and keep control of the cue ball here. I'm going to put a bit too much juice on that. And what should have been straightforward is now become a little bit tricky. Mighty thin cut. I've found lately that these thin cuts, I'm preferring to play with quite a lot of inside. It helps me get the thin contact I require and just throws the ball just slightly, making it even thinner, throws it a bit wider. And what it also does as well, it controls the path of the cue ball somewhat. Instead of running wild around the table, all that right-hand English I'm going to put on this should hopefully just check the cue ball off the short rail and have it just roll straight up the middle of the table, so avoiding the risk of the scratch. So I get one on the board and I break and make the 10 off the break. Now there is no win if you make the 10 off the break. It just gets respotted, but it does count as a ball made, so you get to continue your inning. But looking at the position of the 1, it doesn't have a pocket, I don't think, and can't really see an inviting combination that I could try. I mean, there's possibly a gap between the 3-10 that I could try and make a 1-8 combo, but that's very difficult and not guaranteed to be on anything afterwards, so maybe just play a safe. Could push the 1 down to the middle of the short rail, bottom cushion, and just have the cue ball float over to the right a bit, maybe try and get cover behind the 3. Or I cut off the left-hand edge of the 1 as we're looking at it, bank the 1 off the right-hand long rail, try and get it behind this little wall of balls and get the cue ball back down table. Well, that's what I tried, but unfortunately I caught the 1 way too thin, so it didn't bounce below target line of balls. Not left anything easy for Ken though. And you could try and get a carom, knock the 6 in, put the cue ball close enough to the pocket. But where the 1's going to finish, I'm not sure. It would probably end up coming off 3 rails. Cue ball's got to stay in that corner, so that's not a great option. I think he's probably just going to play a safety here. Let's see how he sees it. Okay, he's used the 10 as a stopper and just put the cue ball down there on the short rail. So this is a tough one in the side pocket. And were I to make it, leave a thin cut on the 2 in the top left. I think I'm attacking this though. There is a path. We're running out. You make this. Now, how do you get on the 3? You won't go past the 6 and you won't go past the 8. No, bottom 2 pockets. So the natural path of the cue ball is going to be off the short rail, the right hand long rail, if I can avoid the 9, 5 and 7. Yeah, I think you need to put bottom in a lot of right-hand English and try and throw the cue ball all the way around and try and get below the 3 for the right centre, assuming it'll pass. Or if you can get all the way below the 3, then you've got options into any of the top 2, any of those 4 pockets at the top of the table. But alas, collided with the 9. So nothing easy now. Once again, an option to try and make the 6. But I also think you could just bank this 3 down and back up the table and get the cue ball off the left hand long rail and then maybe back over behind the 4-8. That's what I'm trying. Yeah, unfortunately, a bit too low down that long rail and collided with the 10. Plus the 3 collided with the 4, so what's he got here? Right, just trying to hide the cue ball. I think he's gonna just about make it. Is he? I think I've just got the right hand edge of the tree as I'm looking at it. I'm not sure, I'm just now looking, kind of hit enough of it to make the 6. It could be a bit scratchy in the left side pocket. I think that's what's caused me to take a little further pause. Okay, looks like it plans back on. Going in the 6. From here it looks as though you can't quite hit enough. I'm jacking up now. I think that's to avoid the scratch. Well, I could definitely hit enough of it. Look at that, I've made the 10 inadvertently. So that gives Ken an option in these 10 ball rules. If you make an unintended pot or an undeclared pot on your inning, your opponent has the option to either play from where the balls lie or to put you back in. And in this instance, I've not left anything easy. I think I may be calling the 6 again here. Oh no, it's just a straightforward safety shot. Yeah, that's quite like a snooker safety. Thin edge off the 3, cutting it behind the wall of balls and making sure the cue ball ends up there off 3 rails. Yeah, there's no jump available here because the 7's far too close to the 3. So he's got to be kicking. Just trying to work out his contact point on this left-hand long rail. Plus you can use the diamond system. 1 diamond before the pocket. Side pocket, that is, would come to 2 diamonds before this bottom right pocket, assuming that cue ball's on the line from the top right. So let's see, should get close to this. Yep, made a good contact. Literally caught it on the left side. I think he was trying to catch it slightly on the right to make the pot on the 3, but not left anything simple. I think I've got a thin cut into this bottom right, which may enable me to develop the 4, but I've called the left side pocket, so it's the bank. Does that 4 past the 5? Well, I think it won't go straight in the pocket, but I think if you play it towards the first diamond from that top right pocket, I think it will slide in. You'd be cheating the pocket somewhat. But I'm well off the bank. Did have some English on the cue ball. That may have played it a bit soft as well. That may have caused the angle to widen a bit. Well, he's got a thin cut here in the top left, got a quarter ball. Yeah, overcuts it slightly. 3's coming round, he's going to dress up for me. It's a thin cut to the left centre. Play this with bottom and left hand English. Avoid the 10. Cue ball to check off the bottom rail and go on a line towards the 4. Play that shot I was talking about earlier, the 4 in the top right. And this is just about perfect. The straighter you can get behind this, the easier it is. So if I can just hit that pretty much full ball, just missed the 5. The 4 should slide in off this right-hand long rail. Yeah, loads of room. Now, I've got to do a fairly deep draw shot here. I want to try and get there directly. Alternately, you try and play off that left-hand long rail, but I think I'm going direct. Yeah, I've put too much juice on that, haven't I? Yep, any softer would have been fine, but that was the danger going the way I went. And that's finished pretty awkward. Certainly can't make the 6. Not easy to play safe, really. Just having a thought. And the obvious thing to try and do, I think, is to jack up. You almost got to play a downward strike on the cue ball like a masse and avoid the double hit. And then try and get that 6 above the 9. There. I kind of decelled on that, didn't get through the ball. I think I'd hit the right amount of it. It was a bit harder. That 6 may well have come between the 8-9. Instead of which, I just lined up for a long shot in the top left. And this is quite a favourable line to approach that pocket from. Hitting it too thick isn't the problem, just don't hit it too thin. But he's playing safe. He's done nicely there. Cue ball just gluing itself to the edge of the 8. Think about going rail first. But I've seen people measuring like this, so I'm trying to look. But I've measured to the junction of the wood and the cushion, which I think you're supposed to measure it from the center of the ball to the front edge of the cushion. So I'm aiming a bit too low down the rail here. As we'll soon see. Yeah, that was way too low down the rail. Needs to be almost the last part of the cushion I could hit before the side pocket. And that's what Ken is saying. So after the rack, talk about that, because the system I used was a bit spurious. And I needed to hit further up the rail. That's one thing I like about playing, Ken. You're have very open discussions about how best to have played shots, and it's a good way you can learn and improve. So I fear the worst here. A little draw shot and give himself a perfect angle on the 7. Said that, he looks to be a wee bit flat. You can follow forward and just hit the long rail, get back out. Must have come at least halfway across the table for the 8. And the fraction's short, but once again he should be fine here. Just make sure the 8 ball, cue ball will take care of itself. Just playing centre ball on the white. Should hopefully play it off 2 rails. Have the 9 in the same pocket. But the pace is off. He's finishing on the rail. This is awkward. And he's not completely glued to the cushion. Whenever you're this close, it just puts that extra bit of pressure on, and he's limited with how he can control the cue ball. So, yeah, shape on the 10 was not guaranteed. He tried to play that with right English to get the shape, and that swerved the cue ball a bit, causing him to overcut the 9. But this is one of those opportunities you should pounce on. Really punish your opponent for that miss. So one way you should really make sure you've composed yourself. Yes, in the corner. Yeah, that was a poor strike. Poor delivery of the cue altogether. And so as we come up to the first interval in this match, there will be an interval after the first 4 racks and one after the second 4. It's going to be Ken that goes into that interval leading by 3 racks to 1. So please come back to Mothlike TV real soon for the conclusion of this match. Thanks for watching.